topic is everything lives. Everything lives. In the cosmos, not one dead thing has come to be, or is, or will be. Therefore, the cosmos must needs be a God also. Corpus Hermeticum, Book 12. What could this possibly mean, everything lives? So there's a number of philosophical and even spiritual viewpoints around the world that talk about how everything, including matter itself, has some kind of aliveness, presence, even intelligence. So in the culture I grew up in the West, in the States, this is just considered ludicrous. And when you ask philosophers about it, oftentimes they'll say, well, matter things, they're dead, they're non-living. We're living, animals live, plants live, microorganisms, but matter's dead. And so hence the famous mind-body problem fathered by Descartes and others. If on the inside we're alive and conscious, but outside us, we live in a world that's numb and mute and non-reactive, including our own flesh. How do they interact? And many of us think this is actually a false problem. It's a problem created by thought. So in the traditions of the world, when you go far back enough, everything has its own soulfulness. And I prefer saying that to soul, because sometimes when people hear the word soul, they think of the Christian metaphysical entity. But soulfulness is more like a quality of inwardness or subjectivity or interiority. So does this mean that rocks think? No. No. In order to think, at least as we understand thinking presently on this particular planet, you have to have kind of a nervous system and other things, a brain and all that. But to cite one philosopher among 100, just in the Western tradition, because this idea goes pretty far back, Teilhard de Chardin talks about how everything has a within, and he calls this the within of things, that everything has some sort of an interior life. A layer of subjectivity, you could think of it that way. And this idea goes by many different names. It's referred to as panpsychism. Panpsychism, everything has a psychical quality, a quality of experience. That's another name, pan-experientialism, many different names, and it's called different things in different societies. It does seem, when you think about it, that just to take a rather mundane example, sometimes it seems like things turn against us. And I'm thinking of old folk tales where hammers hammer people and pins stick people, and because there's something wrong with the people, there's something wrong inside them, and so things turn against them. This is usually psychologized by saying, we project our aliveness or our complexes or our irrationalities or whatever it is into the things we own, the places where we live. I'm thinking of somebody I know who for a long time neglected her house, and when she came back, nothing worked, and it wasn't because of disuse, but the doors stuck, the electrical systems wouldn't work, the water wouldn't work right, pipes burst, and so forth. And it wasn't until she actually did a little ceremony and basically told the place, I'm back, I'm sorry I've neglected you, and it fixed everything. And this is actually far more common than we're led to believe. Materialist science in the West, materialist philosophy, tells us this is ludicrous. So when we hear in the history of not only Hermeticism, but Egyptian religion, that the priests every morning and every evening went out and they faced the four quarters and they intoned the sacred vowels and they praised the creation, this is usually seen from a materialistic standpoint is completely valueless, except maybe it does something for the priests, cheers them up or something, you know. I think it does a lot more than that. I think actually things themselves enjoy being appreciated. Somewhat heretical view, but not to Hermeticism. So I want to do a little thought experiment with you now and put it to you. Let's say that there's a worldview where matter is just stuff. It's just dead. It doesn't do anything. We can do whatever we want with it because since it's dead, it won't care. We can move it around. We can dig it up. We can build things with it, make towers out of it, make tanks out of it, airplanes, bombs, whatever. We can even destroy it at the atomic level. We can smash atoms. So this worldview, of course, which is the dominant worldview in the West, and increasingly in other parts of the world as well, has led us to the very brink of catastrophe, planetary catastrophe. The worldview that nothing outside of us matters except as raw material has enslaved people. It is dominating entire populations of people financially, politically, and militarily. And when you think of that acronym, which many people have made fun of, so I'll get in line too, MAD, mutually assured destruction. It was a Cold War doctrine about if we all have the same amount of nuclear missiles and we can all wipe out the planet, then nobody will. It's crazy thinking. Only insane people think like this. So that's where that worldview leads. It's got us climate change. As I record this, there are more fires burning all over California than last year, and I'm quite confident there will be more next year, and so on and so on. We're in a permanent drought. All of this caused ultimately by lack of reverence for matter, nature, and earth. So this is the worldview that calls itself sane in lecture halls and laboratories, in textbooks and teaching assignments. Now, in this thought experiment, let's contrast it with a crazy worldview. And this is a worldview where we interact deeply with things on levels we haven't even studied. We are back in alignment with all our ancestors of every culture who considered things alive. Not alive the way human beings are, obviously, but somehow tuned in, somehow part of the whole, somehow part of us, even on the inside of us, that rivers have their own intelligence, that ecosystems, as we would now call them, regulate themselves, not just biologically, that the whole world and the whole cosmos are more like, as one physicist put it, a great thought than a machine. A worldview in which we actually care about the things that we work with and ride around and wear and own, and are in conversations all the time with them of some kind or another. Now, this worldview, going on past performance, usually has resulted in peaceful, harmonial relations with the outer world. It means that here in California, indigenous people who know what they're doing because they've lived here forever, burn forests and meadows exactly the way the land needs in order to regenerate itself. They were stopped from doing that when settlers arrived. That's why we have really big fires now, all that accumulated fuel. So in this crazy worldview, we actually feel at home in the universe. We don't feel what existential philosophers call thrownness or like aliens in the cosmos or anything like that. We feel like we're an integral part of it, like we belong here, like the beating of our hearts has something to do with the natural cycles outside of us. We wake up when the sun comes up, we go to sleep when it comes down, because we know that we're part of everything and that we're in conversation with everything. So I put it to you, which of these is really the same worldview? The Hermetic answer would be the second one. So in the cosmos, to repeat the quotation, not one dead thing has come to be, is or will be. Therefore, the cosmos must needs be a God also. Plato talked about it that way too. The earth is a blessed God. So here at the end, I will leave you with a question to ponder. Take your time. And the question is, via the quote from the Hermetic corpus, how is it that you personally honor Earth?